Hi everybody, Sam Lewis here, and I have the wonderful Chloe Shannon Brookes, who is the Royal Miss Scotland. Say hello, Chloe.
Hi.
She's agreed to do a nice interview with us today, talking everything empowerment. So first of all, Chloe, could you just give us a little breakdown of your pageant journey so far, if you don't mind?
Yeah, no problem. I started pageantry through actually being a dress specialist. I worked at a dress shop while I was at university, so I managed to meet quite a few pageant girls. I thought, oh, this could be something I'd be interested in doing. And I actually signed up as a crazy way to get me sort of a bit more comfortable with the way I looked, my body, and tell myself that it didn't matter that I wasn't a size 6. It didn't matter that I wasn't the typical sort of look for it, because I wasn't measured based on that. I was measured based on my abilities and if I was the right fit for that title. So I started with Miss England, and I actually started at the Miss Lincolnshire competition, won the title of Miss Grantham, and went to the semis. Unfortunately didn't get any further that time, but it definitely gave me sort of the bug from then onwards, and I then sort of was like, where do I go next? And then ended up at Royal, and I guess the rest is history. So I haven't actually been in it that long. I guess this is only actually my second system, but I've been doing it since 2018.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. So I didn't realise, so you just took me back then. I didn't realise it's only 2018 that you've been doing it for. That's bizarre.
No, not long at all. I do think the reason that I've managed to do so much in such a short amount of time is because I'm a bit of a sponge, and when I threw myself into the first competition, I had the benefit of already having a good insight into sort of the industry through being in the dress trade and seeing other girls and talking to them about what they did. And I also, at the dress shop I worked at, we dressed Stephanie Hill, who was Miss England, and did exceptionally well at Miss World for a little while. So just picking her brain a lot and being like, what's it like? What do you do? Asking her lots of questions at photo shoots, which I'm sure she found really irritating. But but it sort of gave me a really good idea of what to do. And I went into Miss England. I took a big scrapbook with me of all the stuff I'd done. I wanted to be the kind of queen that was seen a lot, and got the use out of that sash. And that worked really well for me, and the judges came back and was like, that's what we loved about you. We loved your personality and the fact that you're a committed queen. So that sort of stuck with me then, is that's the kind of person I am, that's kind of pageant girl I am, and it's done well.
No, it's cool. So did anybody actually say, Chloe, you need to come and do a pageant, or did you just decide, I want to do that because you'd heard so many people talking about it in the shop?
No one really was like, go do it. And I think that was partially because everyone has me painted, if you only know me outside of this, as a bit of a tomboy. I'm a bit of I'm a proper Yorkshire lass, and I'm not that type. So no one actually ever suggested it to me. I'd sort of heard it a lot. I was interacting with these ladies a lot. And I went home one day to my boyfriend after work, and I was like, look, this thing keeps coming up and I like the sound of it. And we had a talk, and I looked into some websites and some Instagrams on it, and he was like, look, I think you should go for it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure if it's me. He was like, why not? Why is it not you? I think you're beautiful. I love the way you look, and I think that there's more to it than that, and there's more to you than that. So he pushed me to apply. I applied and got accepted, and then it just sort of rolled from there. And I sort of realised, and I was quite honest in my interview in my first pageant, is that I wanted to be a sort of queen that made other girls look at me and say, oh, do you know what, if she can do it, then I can do it. I don't have to be a certain size, I don't have to be a certain height, because look at Chloe and she's doing well. And it worked in a way, because I had a few girls that I used to go to school with who were messaging me being like, thank you for showing that we're worth exactly the same, even though we don't look like the norm. I think it's created by social media now. Pageants don't have that norm anymore. It's just that people are so stuck in what it used to be that when you try and explain that it's changed, they don't want to listen.
Yeah, it's like a common misconception, isn't it, about pageants? Say pageants and people go, what do you want to do that for? But I always say to them, if you think about a car back in the 1970s and a car now, they both do the same thing, but they're completely different now. Do you know what I mean? So it's still judging beauty, but it's not just beauty on the outside anymore. There's so much more to it now. So it's kind of moved on with the times, but I don't think people have moved on with the times, or even, and I'll hold my hands up, I was one of those people, which is why I got into pageants. And, you know, it's educate yourself about something, don't judge it. I mean, Kirsty Horn said to me, you have to do a pageant. And I was like, you always said to me, you know, don't say you can't, say you will. He'll try. So it was like, okay.
That's the thing. It's like, I've never ever felt like rejected by a pageant girl or like someone who's involved with the scene. I've never felt like someone has been like, oh, you can't achieve that, or you can't succeed in that because you're not the stereotype. The only the only way I've ever got that resistance has been from people that are outside of that. Like, there's been a few times where at work, like, you have to tell people eventually, like, you can keep it a secret for so long, but then they're like, why are you going to America all the time? And then
here's a question. Why do you keep it a secret? Because I do the same. I'll be honest with you, I do the same.
I think it's because I like to sort of keep a little bit of separation between certain parts of my life. So when I was at uni, it was very much like tied with everything. Everyone at work knew about it and was cheering me on because we were quite a close-knit workforce. There was only 5 of us, and we were all winning. And then all my university friends knew because, like, I was in the press all the time and I couldn't really hide it. And then I think once I've got to a stage where I'm working in financial law now, and I feel as though I've got sort of a responsibility to have a professional distance from it, if you will. Like, in pageantry, if you ask me what I do, I'm like, oh yeah, I work in a financial law firm. But at the law firm, if someone said, what do you do in your spare time? I'm like, oh, I read and I do crosswords.
But that's it, and I think that's because they'll probably judge. They'll probably judge, and you don't want that judgment of having to explain the whole thing, do you? You know, sometimes it's just easier to say nothing.
Someone actually once turned around to me and was like, oh, you're a pageant girl. I was like, yeah. And they were like, but you're clever. And I think that's maybe where it came from, is that, like, working in law, working in financial law, everyone's like, oh yeah, that's like a really intellectual job. And I worry that they're going to sort of dumb me down because of what I do. And it upsets me that I have to feel like that. It upsets me that I do that, to be fair. But I do. And that's being honest.
Yeah, do you think that's because of the way it's portrayed in movies and things like that? It always seems to be the dumb blonde, doesn't it, in pageants and stuff like that? They don't necessarily have, like you say, somebody in law. I'm a secondary school teacher, do you know what I mean? But we're all involved in pageants. And I'm sure there's people even higher up than us who are involved in pageants. But people don't pick that up, do they, really?
No, and, like, the first question is, oh, is it like Miss Congeniality? And, like, first of all, that film's about a spy. It's not even really about pageants. Like, when I watch it, I don't think it's about pageants. I think it's about spy. So
insatiable.
I refuse to watch this. I refuse to watch it because
it's funny.
Everyone's like, oh, it's amazing, it's phenomenal, it's brilliant. And I watched the trailer, and being a curvier girl in pageantry, like, I'm not quite classed as plus size. Like, I can't compete in some of the curve pageants, but I am curvy, I would say. And I watched the trailer, and it was very like, oh, and same with Pudding. Oh, she couldn't be fat and be a pageant girl, so she had to lose weight and become attractive, and now she's like a pageant queen.
Yeah.
And I watched that and I was like, okay, well, actually, I probably eat more than I did before I did pageants. So, and I was watching it and I was like, because in my brain I was like, are they saying that she couldn't win a pageant the way she looked before? And I haven't watched the programme, so I can't really comment like actually on what the message is, but for me watching the trailer it was enough information.
I think you're probably right, actually, because it's one of those things. Her weakness is food, and that's why she's fat, and she's trying to be on a diet all the time to win this pageant, but she keeps giving in and taking the food and stuff. But you know, a lot of girls, and I think you just opened my eyes to how wrong that is, actually, because a lot of girls are slightly weightier, and it's not from food. It's just their build, it's just their makeup, or they can have a thyroid problem, or there's other medical issues, or it could just be that that's them, you know. And
I started university and I'd managed to actually like shred down a little bit. I'd got to like a size 8-10, which was really good for me because I've always been quite shapely, especially sort of hips, chest, and that's never going to change whether I was fat free or not. Like if my body fat percentage was 1%, I would still have larger hips and a larger bust. But since I got diagnosed with endometriosis, I then went on the pill and I'm running it consecutively all the time. And those hormones do a lot to your body. And now, literally, piece of lettuce, I can look at it and I've got 3,000 calories in my body because that's the hormones. And I've got a choice. I either continue to take the pill and manage my endometriosis and it's doing a good job at it, or I stop taking the pill and I can shred the weight. So for me, being happy and healthy and not being in pain all the time is more important to me than being like, oh yeah, you know, I'm not going to eat that full bar of Galaxy cookie crumble because I feel rubbish. You know what I mean? I'd rather eat it. I would rather eat it.
The thing is, are you happy?
Yeah, I do.
All woman, do you know what I mean?
There are moments where I'm like, oh, I wish I could get my old body back. I wish I could, you know, even just drop one size and feel a bit more in control, because the loss of control, it does affect you, going from, you know, being able to sort of manage what you eat and how it affects your body. But at the same time, there's got to be a level of acceptance in the fact that is me and that is my journey right now.
I think for me, I can completely sympathise with that, because when I was going through university, I was a fitness instructor, gym instructor, and I was teaching 19 classes a week. So I had a body to die for. Do you know what I mean? It was like washboard abs, legs with muscle, no fat, nothing. And then obviously I came out of university, had 3 kids, got my cancer, got put into a premature menopause. So now I'm post-menopause. My body's got no estrogen in it. It's just going, it's slowing right down. Do you know what I mean? So I'm looking at my body thinking, I haven't got the body I used to have. Hell no, you haven't. You were 22 doing all these fitness classes. Give yourself a break. You know, you're 45 years old now and you're in menopause. Do you know what I mean? Things are just going to happen and you have to accept it. This is me now.
Exactly.
You are, isn't it?
I think I've gone through that a little bit earlier in life, but everyone's eventually going to have that moment where they're like, but no matter what way it's in, like you were saying, like going through menopause, eventually, like, everyone has a moment where they're like, oh my God, I'm not in control of the wheel anymore for like this little space of time. So for me, like seeing things like Insatiable and everything, everyone loved it. And I feel like everyone who loved it hasn't had that argument with themselves in the mirror of, I don't fit this stereotype. You know, there's a stigmatization against what I look like. And they haven't had that internal struggle. We've all done it. We've all been like, oh, I'm going to have to like lose this many stone before I can do this and that and the other. And then you have to have a word with yourself and say, do you know what? Do I want to win that title if I can't be me? So I would have liked to have seen that. I would have liked to have seen her, yes, go through that struggle. Yes, maybe being like, okay, I'm just, you know, going to eat salad and nothing else. But then her turning around at the end and being like, you know what, I don't need to change myself, because
And the wrong
if
message putting the wrong message out.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, we like. So looking at that then, and you know, obviously you want to reach international level queen to set that standard and say, look, we can all do it. You don't have to be a size 6-7 foot model thing to do this. And you know, it will empower a lot of people if you do achieve that. Is that why you continue to be involved in pageantry? And you know, if you did get the international title or anything like that, would you continue to be involved in pageantry?
Absolutely. I think obviously it's not my platform. Like, my platform's not to do with like body positivity or anything specifically, but I think naturally I stand for that, because that is integral to my personal journey in terms of the things I've had to think about, the things I've had to go through. And initially, that first pageant, like, I felt as though I had to almost, you know, explain myself on why I didn't look like the others. And I thought, in a way, this is my stamp. This is what sets me apart from the competition here, is that I'm not like them.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it's going to encourage more girls to get involved. And I've always wanted to be approachable. I've always wanted to be tangible. And I think I would hope that that's what people would describe me as a queen, is that, you know, I'm real, and I'm me. So part of the reason why I've continued to do pageantry is I'm like, you know what, I enjoy this. It gives me a chance to, you know, get involved in things that I enjoy, better myself, and I've grown in personality so much that I'm not going to stop doing it because someone else thinks that I shouldn't do it. So in a way, yes, I will sort of carry on to do it, because I do think that I can be a good advocate for other girls that maybe think that they can't be a part of it. But I also don't think that I have to be a part of it because of that reason. So it should just be normal that I'm doing it, if that makes sense. Yeah. And that's why I like Royal, because that's what it's like. Yeah. Is that I see the other winners, I see the international queens, both past and present, and I'm like, do you know what? I can relate to them in some way or another. There's a vast range of women there, of different shapes, sizes, heights, different backgrounds, and that's what's drawn me to that. So I'd love to be a part of that legacy in diversity within pageantry, as well as also achieving that for myself.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So, you know, how do you think pageantry empowers participants of pageantry for life, general life things? What does it give them? So you're going to encourage them to get involved, but what would they gain from doing pageants that'll help them in real life?
So a big thing that I've seen of a lot of girls, and including my sister Trinity, obviously we've been together now for over a year, is confidence. And that sounds extremely cliche, but even for myself, like, I think if I was to say about myself that my confidence has improved, people would eye roll and be like, yeah, but you were confident to start off with because you did theatre and you've done all these things. And yeah, that's true. I've always been quite an outgoing individual, but my perception of myself has changed quite a lot in the way that I relate to my body, the way I relate to just me in general has changed, and that confidence has grown, which is obviously what I wanted going into it. So for girls, I think it's about having so many people around you that are mutually rooting for your success. So again, being part of Royal, we're all the girls that go into internationals as Miss Contestants, rather than being like, oh, she's done that, like, we're like, oh my god, you've done that, that's amazing. Like, yeah. And that's the thing, is I don't think that a lot of us could do the things that we've done if it wasn't for the support network of each other, because it takes other pageant girls to be like, yeah, I'm going to get involved in your platform project, or yeah, I'll donate some things to your collection that you're doing. And a lot of the time it is pageantry supporting pageantry. There's not, unfortunately, a lot of people that have a lot of support from outside of it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's another misconception, isn't it? Because people think that pageantry is a bunch of girls who are dead bitchy with each other, and they don't support each other, and it's a bit of a battle who wins. But it's the opposite, and that's the thing that surprised me the most when I came into pageantry. It was how much everybody wants to help you and support you and boost you up. I think everybody comes in for it for their own reasons, and everybody wants to support them to, grow and develop, really, isn't it?
And the girls that come into it for the wrong reasons, the girls that do come into it just to win, just to, get the crown and, flaunt it and everything, it becomes very clear very quickly, and they don't tend to win. Or if they do win, then the true colours sort of start to shine through very early on, and then more people are reluctant to, give that support or be an advocate for that person. So it, every area of life is not without its bad people, and not without its people that sort of aren't in it for the right reasons, if you will. But as a whole, everyone who's still in the scene and has been in the scene for a while, or even is new to it, they're pining for that support. They want to give that support. They want to receive that support. So even like girls that it's their first pageant or they yet to hold a title, like when you have got a title, they'll approach you and be like, can you get involved? Because they respect what you've done, and they want to get your help. And then they'll remember. Yeah, and they'll remember that when they do capsulate their title, they'll remember you. And when you're trying to now win something else, or you've got a new endeavour, they'll then support you. And that's the thing, is it's very cyclical. We're all very...
Sorry, I was going to say, it definitely is like another family, isn't it? Because as you say, a lot of people outside of pageant world don't support it. But it's like having a family inside. They're giving you the support that your family should give you to help you succeed. And it's just beautiful. It really is lovely to see. Can you think of anything else that that people who don't do pageantry, if they got into pageantry, how else could it help them through their life? What skills does it give them in your eyes?
The main thing that as well I feel it gives you is interview skills is massive. So like going for a job then outside of pageantry and whatever you want to do, like my degree's in drama, so going into financial law, I went into that interview and I was like, realistically, I'm unqualified for this. I'm probably not the right candidate for the job. But it's being able to sell yourself in a way that's humble, but is also effective. So you're able to sort of pick out your strong points and also be able to appreciate where your weaknesses may be, but how you are building on those and how you are, becoming a stronger person in general. So in terms of like going out and pursuing things external to pageantry, it makes you more driven, it makes you more determined, because to be able to go for a title again and again and again and not give up for it it's an exceptional. It takes a lot of gut, and that's the same thing that we need to apply to things out in the outside world. If it doesn't happen for you the first time, try again, keep going, don't give up. So if you don't get that dream job straight away, it doesn't mean that it's not right for you. It just means that you've just got to keep going.
Not your time.
So yeah.
Do you know what I think as well? You touched on something then that made me go, oh yeah, no one's really mentioned that. We say that, it prepares you for the successes in life. If you don't get it, then you try again and you get there. But one thing that we've not discussed until you just touched on it there, it's the bit in between. It's the self-analysis and thinking, how can I get myself to this stage to get it next time? No one's really talked about that until you touched on it. Then we've all talked about, build your confidence, it helps you in interviews, it does that. But when something happens in a pageant that didn't work out the way you wanted it to, like maybe you fell down on the interview, in this space between this and the next one, you work on your interview, you figure out why it wasn't right, and you fix these things ready for the next one. So it's not just about the results of each pageant, it's about the growth in between, the studying, the development and stuff like that. So that was a really good point to make there.
Yeah, because I think self-reflection is something that in general life, a lot of people sort of skim over because we don't want to admit where we've gone wrong in life and what we could have changed sometimes. And it's easy to bury yourself in the sand. Like, for example, if you wanted to go into a certain career and it's not really worked out for you, in like when you leave university, you sort of feel like you have to go and get the dream job straight away because you've got the qualification now. Why not? But it doesn't happen. And there's two types of people. There's the people that will go, okay, well, I'll just go and find a job that pays the bills. And then there's the people that are like, right, okay, why am I not getting this job? What is it that I need to go and like pursue to improve that? And it might be that you need to go and volunteer and get some experience or something like that. And the people that will do that and that will reflect and act on that reflection are the people that will go back a second or third time and get that dream job.
And that's what pageantry is exactly like, isn't it?
Yeah. Pageants is a job. Pageantry is a job. Holding a title is a job. And I said this in my UK interview to Jayan, who runs Yemi. I turned around to him and was like, I'm very aware of the fact that my interview with you today, I am interviewing for a job. I am interviewing for the job of a role model. I'm interviewing for the job of someone who is going to be required to put their best foot forward and promote a system and a platform and themselves. And that is where real life and pageantry just come together.
And you have lots of like young kids doing pageantry, and that is like the best life lessons you can give those. It's like a gift, really, isn't it? To learn to deal with things and look at things and fix it and figure things out. A lot of teens these days, I would say, are falling into the entitlement kind of category. They feel entitled to that job, they feel entitled, but they don't do that reflection. So teaching this from an early age in pageantry on their way up to the point where they're going to go and get a job, they understand that they're miles ahead of everybody, aren't they? It's really good for them.
A lot of people say, you know, getting kids into pageants is barbaric and it's, you know, unethical. And I think they have to want to do it. They have to want to be a part of it. You know, forcing someone into something they don't enjoy is not the right path. But it's worth seeing the benefits of something like that. Like, we see the benefits of you know, arts training. Like, we're both very familiar with that. And, you know, you wouldn't not take your child to dance if they wanted to do it, because you'd be like, oh, well, the health benefits and coordination and all of this stuff. You'd be like, yeah, straight away, that's a good idea. Or swimming, obviously, it's a life lesson. But I think pageantry can be that if you are pursuing the right things, if you've got the right mindset, and if you are willing to learn.
Well, it's like my two daughters. They couldn't be any different. My eldest one's super shy, doesn't really speak to people or anything like that. She lives in a house, to us, she never shuts up. But when she's out, she's really shy, goes really red and everything, hates an audience, hates everything like that. So I was like, oh, could I get her to do pageantry? Because it will help her, because I know through teaching performing arts, the difference it makes when you get someone on stage, the confidence they grow from. Not a chance will she do it. I should have. You ever entered me for a pageant without telling me, I would not do it and never speak to you again. So that's an absolute no. My middle child is 11 and she's a bit more outgoing, and I almost got her to do the royal charity one, but because it got cancelled and it was coming up at a later date again, she's changed her mind now, and I got the dress and I got everything. I was so excited because I thought it'd be the making of her. But I said, oh, there's another one coming up, do you want to enter this one? No. And I thought, I'm not going to force her, she's got to want to do it. But you know when you just I got the dress. Got to do what they want to do.
Enter into photogenic, because it's like the option's there and it gives you a little bit of a fever, but it's not like I have to go.
Yeah. Well, they came to watch me at Royal, and I think the youngest one was up for it then. But yeah, we'll have to see. To see. I haven't given up yet. So what empowers you day to day, Chloe? What empowers you? What gets you out of bed and says, right, today is going to be a good day? Especially now that you're stuck in your 3-room flat and you can't go out anyway. What's keeping you empowered?
The fact that, do you know what? It's really, really sad, but pageants, and it's the fact that I've got internationals to look forward to, the fact that I'm in this mindset of, okay, well, just because the, you know, world's changed and the situation that I've planned for has changed, doesn't mean that I get to turn around and be like, oh yeah, you know, my platform, it can be just pushed aside until I'm ready to pick it back up again. Because I don't feel that way about it. I think that more than ever, people could do with creative subjects and the benefits of arts therapy. So that's what's encouraging me, is that I'm like, actually, what I stand for and what my platform was is positive to put forward even more so in this period of time. So that, and the fact that I keep having really nice dreams about America where my friends are doing well and we get to meet up with everyone again, and like I'm just imagining the party is so.
Are you lying? What you like? So if you didn't have pageantry though, if you didn't have pageantry and you didn't do it, what would empower you to carry on right now every day? What gets you out of bed and makes you go, yes, today's going to be a good day? It's hard, that, isn't it?
It is real hard. And I think, do you know what? Breakfast in bed.
That's what really gets you out of bed to go and make it.
Well, not even that. My boyfriend makes the best scrambled egg and omelets and all that sort of stuff. And he gets, I bless him, I think he gets so fed up when I'm like looking at him in the morning like, can I have scrambled egg on toast, please? And when I've had that, and he rolls his eyes, but he gets up and he makes it for me because he knows I enjoy it and he loves me. And I think I sit there and I eat the food and I enjoy it. And then I get up and he'll go and he'll be sat at his desk doing his uni work. He's doing his masters at the moment. And I'll go and dance into the living room, kitchen, whatever it is, with my plate and be like, yeah, that was really nice, thank you. And then that like sets the tone for the day then, because some days you get up at the moment and you're like, what am I doing? What do I do? Why? What's the point? Like, and there are those moments, but I think when I go into the sort of living room and do that little dance, I'm like, right, okay, today we're going to be in a good mood. We're going to go and be productive. We're going to do something, even if being productive is like reading a book or, you know, tidying my bedroom. That's
because you drive everybody else with it. Do you know what I think drives you? Fun and laughter. Fun and laughter. That's what gets you out of bed to go and do your little wiggle in front of them and stuff like that. It's about not taking life so seriously, isn't it? And just enjoying it. And that's what you ooze. Much. You ooze that. Do you Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I think I'm one of those girls that, like, I think if I did take myself seriously, everyone would be like, what's wrong? Like, are you okay? Because I've always enjoyed laughter, and laughter is something that can heal so many wounds and bring people together. And realistically, I'm the first person to go to a pageant and everyone's sat in the back room and they're nervous and they feel that like, oh, what's going to happen vibe. And I'm sat there cracking jokes. And that's because, like, I know that room needs that right there.
Yeah.
And they're like, do you know what, girls? It is what it is. Let's all just have a laugh. We can't influence this decision. We might as well just enjoy life.
Exactly. And it's true, isn't it? I think when people take life too seriously, they can very quickly fall down. But you have to see the light side of life all the time. What would you say is your favourite life quote? Have you got one? Oh.
Probably the one I used in my introduction in America last year. So it was by Roald Dahl, and it's it doesn't matter who you are or what you look like, so long as somebody loves you. And I think it relates to a lot of what we've talked about today, in the fact that, you know, a lot of my pageant journey has been the fact that at times I've been an underdog for certain reasons, and, you know, there has been the you don't fit the mould sort of moment, but that doesn't matter because there's a lot of people within pageantry that, you know, they do respect me and they do appreciate my presence. And that if it wasn't for those people that could see something in me, the judges that have seen something in me, I wouldn't be where I was. So that in that moment, that quote made so much sense. And I went on to do extremely well in that portion of the competition. So they obviously could see that related to me quite personally.
That's really good. So if you had somebody who wasn't feeling very empowered and wasn't sure about doing pageants or even getting up and getting the confidence to get up and go and try something, what would you say to them? What would be your message to them?
I guess when convincing you to do it is that can you hear me?
Sorry, the connection's unstable. Go on, say it again. You're back again. Say that again. Sorry, Tom.
So I'm a big firm believer in the only limitation that we have is ourselves. So the way that my mindset's changed in the last year is the only thing that was stopping me from taking home the title last year was myself, my own mentality and my own attitude. And if I changed that, that would make a world of difference to how I'd performed at the actual pageant itself. So it would literally be, you are your own limitation. Why not do it? Because the only thing you've got is that your head is saying no when your heart could be saying yes. And like, just follow it, just run with it. Try it once. If you don't like it, no pressure. Life changed forever.
Definitely. Oh, you're frozen again.
Have you got me?
You're frozen with your hand in the air at the moment and your mouth open.
Wonderful.
You're still frozen. I can hear you, but you're still frozen. Right, what I'll do, Chloe, is I will say...
There you go, a nice treat for everyone.
You can still hear me, can't you? That is a classic pose. That is a classic pose. I'll have to show you it in a bit. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a picture of it before it disappears so I can send you it. That's hilarious. Please don't change now. Please don't change. Stay there. Right. So I can hear you, but your picture's staying the same. Right. I want to say thank you very, very much. Oh, yeah, you're back.
Oh, that was broke me light.
Right. Thank you very much for the interview. I really do appreciate it. You've been so funny and interesting to talk to. So wish you all the luck in the world for the competition. And
thank you so much for having me, Sam, as well. I appreciate that.
That's all right. I shall speak to you soon, darling. Give everybody a wave.
See you guys. Thank you for listening.